Hello, everyone. Welcome to your weekly tech update, the show that explores the newest, coolest, and sometimes crazy side of tech available on the interwebs. I am your tech director, Ray McNeil. Coming up on the program today, we're talking about the electric Toyota Land Cruiser. It just traveled 4 miles underwater, shore to shore. Check out the Transformers Grimlock T-Rex robot. It auto-transforms with your voice commands. Happening in this week's What The? A new trend on TikTok sees streamers pretend to be NPCs. This is peak idiocracy. They do this for hours on end, repeating the same phrases and actions as viewers send them gifts and they respond in kind. Some of them, though, are making an absolute killing. And of course, we'll wrap up the program with this week's Moment of Joy. All that and a whole lot more coming up on today's edition of your weekly tech update. Next. Who says EVs can't plow through water? A team of engineers and enthusiasts just drove a retrofit Toyota Land Cruiser 4 miles shore to shore underwater. The EV was submerged entirely underwater, navigating depths up to 100 feet or 30 meters deep. You heard that right. The team converted a 1987 Toyota Land Cruiser to an all-electric underwater powerhouse. However, the story started 40 years ago when the same Land Cruiser attempted to run but failed after hitting a rock less than 2 miles in. The unfinished SUV project was bought for $5,000, picking up the name Mud Crab. Tom Lawrence, who launched the project, said that it's named the Mud Crab because it's orange and crawls along the bottom of the Darwin Harbor. Lawrence and others like Glenn Summers, an electric engineer, heard of the story growing up, which drew them to the project. 3 of the team members worked as electrical engineers in Silicon Valley, one of them being a former Tesla employee. TV personality behind Aussie Salvage Squad, Luke Purdy, said the project was the opportunity of a lifetime and really 3 projects in one. First, he had to build an all-electric car, then build an underwater car, and restore a Land Cruiser at the same time. Submerging a car comes with several hurdles, which kept the team busy, understanding the theory of what happens with pressure and what happens to oxygen underwater, as well as keeping key components dry. Mounted on the front of the gearbox, the electric motor is protected from water with, quote, innovative engineering techniques, Purdy explained. We basically put a garbage tin over the top of it and saturated it with silicone oil to keep the electrons moving. Not everything needs to be sealed. The transmission and differentials can handle water, so they've gone for an open system because it's easier. Instead, the team opted to fill many drive components with food-grade grease to lubricate and keep seawater out of unwanted areas. Once the electric Land Cruiser was ready, it was time to send it underwater. A team of roughly 30 divers took turns driving the submerged EV for about 15 minutes each, reaching depths up to 100 feet. The trip was anything but easy. The team entered Darwin Harbor at around 9 a.m., 4 hours later, barely clearing the descent with so much mud, silt, and sand swelling the Mud Crab's tires. Using inflatable buoys chained to the car, the team lifted the car out of the mud each time. They expected to resurface around 4 p.m. to 5 p.m., but the journey took nearly 12 hours. But they did it, appearing before a cheering crowd at around 9 p.m. A new fan remake of The Simpsons Hit and Run may never see the light of day. Most likely won't. If you were a gamer back in the early 2000s and you were anywhere around a PlayStation, you saw The Simpsons Hit and Run. It was a great game. It took cues from the animated series and cues from Grand Theft Auto and made basically The Simpsons Grand Theft Auto. And it was amazing. Now, a fan has remade the entire game with HD graphics, new assets, and some new voice work, and we're never gonna be able to play it. It was an unlikely but extremely lucrative match made in heaven. It came hot off the heels of Grand Theft Auto 3 and the decent reception of The Simpsons Road Rage, priming it to be a huge commercial juggernaut in the games industry. It was so big and so beloved that even 20 years later, fans want a remake. While we have no idea if an official remake will ever happen, a fan has taken it upon themselves to make it happen. Creator Ruben Rubes Ward has remade The Simpsons Hit and Run in Unreal Engine 5 with tons of upgrades to make it feel as modern as possible. There's an explorable open world, graphical upgrades, finer attention to details, and even a character switcher similar to that of Grand Theft Auto 5's, as you can play as the whole Simpson family in this game. The project is now complete after about a year's worth of development, but there's one downside. Unfortunately, since it's just a fan-made project, it's not going to be released to the public. The Simpsons is now under Disney's ownership, a very litigious company that doesn't really sanction those kind of projects for public release. However, it's always possible that Disney sees how cool the project is and the fan demand behind it and weighs the odds of a remake success. Perhaps it will greenlight a proper remake for itself, but it's hard to say. Who knows, they could come out of left field and just sanction this remake as an official remake, because this guy has seriously documented the entire process on YouTube and has really rebuilt the game from the ground up. You gotta check it out for yourself. The game was made initially by Free Radical, which is now under Activision, which is now getting swallowed up by Activision, so that may lead to a bunch of various legal conundrums. I would really love to play a remake of this game. It was an amazing game back in the day, and with these graphical and up-to-date updates, it looks like it would be amazing. Please, please, Disney, at least give us access to this one, or put some money behind a new version, because you know the fans will buy it. On that note, what about a Grand Theft Auto type game that's set in the Futurama universe? I wouldn't mind seeing that as well.